So viewers, I'm back with the video after a very long time. So today I'm going to discuss about the sixth house lord and the difficulties it can give. The sixth house is a difficult house because it is sixth from the ascendant. To judge any house, we need to look how many houses it is from the ascendant. The fifth and ninth are trinal from the ascendant, so they are lucky places. But whereas the sixth is six places, which is usually not an easy location. Many clients usually come to astrologers in the period of sixth house or eighth house or 12th house because it is during these periods that a lot of them face problems like health issues or breakdown of marriage or relationship or financial troubles and so on. The sixth house lord can give trouble anywhere, but generally the sixth house lord does well in third, sixth, uh, 10th, and 11th houses. Basically, the sixth house lord is an Upachaya house lord, meaning it gives better results as one ages. Then, the sixth house lord is a troublemaker because the sixth house represents the debts that one has to pay in life. This could be from past life or even this life, but usually the Dusthanas represents some debts we have to pay in the form of suffering. So this can come up as difficult marriage or health issues or financial trouble in any sort of form. So let us see what the sixth house lord can do in the first house. In the first house, the sixth house lord is not a very good placement because the native's health can be affected here. The first house is also related to health, and the sixth house is also related to health. The first house is health in the sense of vitality, and the sixth house is your recuperative ability, that is, the ability to withstand diseases. When the sixth house lord is in first house, there can be some health issues often, even in childhood. This will vary according to the nature of the planet. So, if it is something like Mercury, there can be skin issues. If it is something like Jupiter, there can be weight issues or diabetes or liver issues. If it is something like Saturn, there can be rheumatism or bone weakness and inability to put weight. And if it is something like Sun, there can be headaches or boils or something to do with stomach issues. And let's say it is Mars, there can be acne problems, and there can be pimples and boils because Mars is a very hot planet. When it is sitting in the first house, it can give such issues. Mars can also represent headaches and ulcers. And let's say the planet is Moon, then there can be sinus issues or sleep troubles. So basically, the sixth house lord in the first is not a very good placement because this is also a placement where the native can be prone to evil eyes. As soon as the native took birth, there could have been some evil eyes upon the native because this is a house of enemies, and from the sixth house, the lord is going eight places away. If you count from the sixth house, the first house is the eighth. So there can be unknown troubles to the native with this position. The native is not even aware that these people are uh, against this person. So secret enemies can be there in the life of this person. And the sixth house lord in first house can also mean material difficulties like day-to-day existence can be a problem at times. The person may not be able to get along well in a job. The person may change job often. And sometimes when the sixth house lord Dasa runs, there can be difficulties in health and earnings, and job can be unstable because the sixth house is moving eight places from itself. there can be a lot of transformations in the native's life. Now let us move to the second house. When the sixth house lord is in the second house, the speech of the native gets a bit sarcastic or angry, because the sixth house also represents anger and the frustration you have within yourself. So when the sixth house lord is in second house, there can be a sarcastic tone and harsh speech. And even in childhood, there could have been difficulties in the family, like lack of money or lack of comfort, or something to do with the parenting was not good enough, and this creates enmity with the family itself. So these people should avoid telling lies and keep their speech very truthful. And these people can also have trouble due to eating. So eating disorders can be there. These people can eat a lot from restaurants and hotels, because the sixth house represents hotels and restaurants. The second house represents food. These natives can often like to dine out and enjoy themselves. Good food, because both the second and sixth houses have relation with food and food preparation. These people can be good in diet and food preparation, nutrition, health matters. They know what ingredients each food has, because the sixth house is of detail. And when connected with the second house, it shows the person has good knowledge of food items, what are all the basic ingredients in each food. So this can be a good diet planner or nutritionist. But sometimes it can also show eating disorders. Depends on which planet is placed in the second house. And the sixth house lord in the second can represent financial trouble at times. But these people can take loans often. They may spend on credit, because the sixth house is of credit. And these people can get into financial troubles due to overspending, or they may spend on credit and unable to pay things. They may buy items which are beyond their capacities. These are some negative points of the sixth house lord in second house. And financially, these people must avoid loans and credit cards. The sixth house lord in the third house is actually a good one, but only if the native is in some profession related to uh, military or sports, because the third house and sixth house both represents the courage. And many athletes have this combination, or military people, where a certain amount of bravery is required. The sixth house lord in the third can give troubles with siblings, especially younger siblings, and some learning difficulties as well. Because the third house is the house of learning, the sixth house lord here can represent early childhood troubles, like learning in school may be difficult, or there can be some sort of difficulty in school environments. And the neighborhood also can be problematic. These people can get problems in day-to-day life due to the surroundings. And but this gives good results over time. After 30 years, this planet displacement can give good results. And many athletes are seen in this position. And even the younger siblings could be related to army or defense or something like medicine, or the very competitive with siblings. And if there is younger siblings, there could be a lot of enmity and competition with them. So you must avoid competing with your siblings. And you must also develop more friendly relation with your teammates. And the sixth house lord is in the fourth house. It again affects the mother and childhood. There was a lot of arguments in your childhood, or there could be difficulties with the mother, or she was sick and she needed more care. This also represents poverty like situations in the home, there could have been poverty in home environment, and up to 20 years of age, life could have been difficult. And this placement also shows you could have pets at home, but these pets could give trouble, like they could get some illness or infection which then passes on to you. So there must be care with pet animals when sixth house lord is in fourth house. And the sixth house lord in fourth is not very good because it can also represent theft at home, because the sixth house lord is representing thieves, and in the fourth house it can mean that your valuables get stolen. And also this can mean the person themselves have some stealing nature. It may not be a literal sense, but the person may steal others credit, others work, and others hard work. So some sort of cheating tendency can be there in the native. And sixth house lord is in the fourth house. I've often seen that there is a lot of disturbance in the home. So there could be educational difficulties due to unstable home environment, because the fourth house and third house represent your schooling, and the fourth house is more like the stable home and the stable foundation which you can get. So when the sixth house lord is there, the stable foundation is missing in life, which can lead to a lot of problems later on, like emotional anxieties and mental disturbances and depression and all that. So basically, secure home, secure childhood is what makes people mentally healthy and emotionally healthy. When this one is there, this gives lack of mental peace. And the sixth lord in the fourth house affects the mind and emotions, and the basic security. The person is always insecure, and something, if it is something like a moon, where the sixth house lord is placed in the fourth house, or Venus, then very much there can be emotional problems in life. Or when the sixth house lord is Mars, there can be a lot of arguments and fighting at home between siblings and the parents and the mother. So when the sixth house lord is in the fifth house, this creates again issues with having children, and children can be delayed, or you might not want to have children, because you see that the children are a great responsibility and debt, and so this can affect the children in some way. And there can be arguments over how the children are raised between you and your spouse. So the sixth house lord in the fifth is not great when it comes to anything that's creative. So you might your creativity may be blocked, and you may not be able to get the creative flow in your life. And but this position is good for again athletes. When there is a connection of fifth and sixth house, there is a sports tendency in the native, because the fifth is the third from the third. So again, it connects the sixth and the third basically. And this position is good for teachers and self-employed people, because they can train others. So when the sixth house lord is in the fifth house, you can be a good trainer, and you can train others into the next level of progress. So basically, like a sports coach who trains the newcomers into the next level. And the sixth house lord is in the and I forgot to say that the sixth house lord and the fifth can again mean difficulties with finances, because the fifth house again represents wealth, and here you have the sixth house lord. It shows your wealth is delayed, and again it means that you may spend on credit card, or you may take loan, and you may spend what is not yours. And sixth house lord in the fifth means you might have some debts due to speculation. So you might invest your money in stock market, and you make more losses, and now you are in more debt again now. So when the sixth house lord is in the fifth house, avoid speculation of all kind and gambling, because this will only give you more debts and losses. And the sixth house lord is in the sixth house, it's usually a good placement, but again it depends on what other planets are placed here. If there is some other benefic planet, benefic house lord, let's say the fifth house lord is placed with sixth house lord in the sixth, then the indications of 5th house will get damaged, but the indications of 6th house will get benefited. So it is a very tricky situation whenever the 6th house lord is in the 6th house, and this can give good stamina, especially if it is planet like Saturn or Mars, but health difficulties can also be there. So it is not that it is very good placement, and it's also not that it's a very bad placement. It depends on the planets involved and also the other house lords which is impacting the 6th house. Let us say that the 6th house lord is in the 6th with the 9th lord. Then this is not very great because the person's fortune gets blocked. But the person somehow has a good life after 35. So this is a mixed situation where the first half is very uh, delayed and not very fruitful. But the second part of life, the native has a good career and good job. Maybe he goes to abroad and gets a good job there. So the 6th house lord in 6th can be good, but it can make your enemies very strong. And if your first house lord is weak, then you can be overcome by difficulties. So in astrology, we always need to judge the scenario. So when the 6th house lord is in the 6th, it means that your enemies are more strong, so your difficulties are more. But if you also have the ability to overcome those difficulties, because your 6th house is your ability to overcome obstacles, and your first house must also be strong. Let's say your 6th house is very strong and your first house is very weak. Even though you have the capacity to overcome obstacles, you won't be able to apply that. So due to that, the enemies will get more in your life and you will not be able to overcome them. Say, let's say you have a job situation in which your colleague is doing very well. You also have the same capacity to do well, but you don't have the confidence. The first house is weak. Then your colleague is going to progress to the next stage and get the promotion and all that. So now your 6th house is becoming strong. Your colleagues, or let's say your co-workers, are becoming more empowered. So in this case, the 6th house lord means the other person is getting benefit. So it's a very tricky thing to judge the 6th house lord in the 6th house. It can be beneficial sometimes and detrimental other times. And especially the 8th house lord and 12th house lord in 6th will not do well. When the 6th house lord is placed in the 6th house, but other Dusthana lords are there, then it can mean more trouble. When the 6th house lord is in the 7th house, actually the video is getting quite long, so I will probably do another part where I will discuss all the other houses. So I hope this video is helpful, and let me know in the comment section where your 6th house lord is placed and what sort of issues you have faced with respect to that house. Thank you. So we